All right, the first week plus of NFL free agency has not been kind to the 49ers. A lot of it their own doing, not re-signing guys or not taking that step to re-sign guys, releasing some of their defensive linemen. But John Lynch says that big things are coming. That's what he told Matt Barrows and Cam Inman at Stanford's Pro Day on Wednesday. So what does that mean? I don't think it means going outside and replenishing the roster in that way with any of the free agents who are still out there. He's talking about the stuff that we've been talking about for more than a year now. That is Brock Purdy getting his contract, also George Kittle getting his contract, maybe down the road, Fred Warner as well. Kittle enters the final year of his deal. Warner still has 2 years left on his contract. But let me just tell you what exactly John Lynch said to Cam and Matt. He said, we've got this thing called the draft, and we've got a lot of picks. And I think the thing fans should know is we have a plan and we're going to execute that plan. And we're excited about that opportunity. So I do think that the 49ers are putting a lot of their eggs in that basket of the draft. With the 11 picks they have, four are in the top 100. The other four, the next four, are within the top 160. So that's eight picks in the top 160. And certainly the 49ers can hit a lot of the position groups that they're lacking. And they're lacking a lot right now. They need defensive linemen. They need a linebacker. They need defensive backs. They need offensive linemen. I could go on and on and on. Probably the only position where it doesn't look like they're really all that interested in adding is a quarterback. It certainly seems like the 49ers are happy going into this season with Brock Purdy as the starter, Mac Jones as the backup, and then Tanner Mordecai as the number three guy. Mordecai is somebody who came to the 49ers last year with a lot of experience. 3 years at Oklahoma, 2 years at SMU, and then 1 year at Wisconsin. So a lot of college football experience under his belt. His best season came way back in 2021, 39 touchdowns, 12 interceptions with SMU. He didn't get a whole lot of playing time in the preseason, only completed 6 of 10 pass attempts for 103 yards. And then once the season starts, he didn't get a whole lot of work last year because remember, he was the number four guy. He was on the practice squad. So, Brock Purdy would get the first team reps, and then you'd have Joshua Dobbs and Brandon Allen kind of splitting the other reps, the scout team reps. But clearly the 49ers liked Mordecai a lot. They kept him around in the building. That was a priority for them, just to kind of keep him around, have him learn the system, and do all the things that would put him in position to compete for a job. And it looks like if the 49ers keep three quarterbacks on their roster, he would be the third. Maybe, again, they keep two quarterbacks on the roster and then the third on the practice squad. But anyway, it certainly sounds like that they're happy with Purdy, Jones, and Mordecai. Okay, so with Purdy, no real update at all on where the contract negotiations are for him. I was on a flight yesterday, and that was the first question. Somebody says, "Who's playing quarterback? What's the quarterback situation?" And the answer is the quarterback is Brock Purdy. They will get something done. It's just a matter of what it looks like and when they're able to get that done. But the big things, and this was something that John Lynch was asked about. The 49ers decisions to release Leonard Floyd and Malik Collins, those are two that I didn't really understand at all because I don't think it clears that much cap space. It does. I guess, they were I don't know. It just seemed to me that whenever you have defensive linemen, very important position, and they're playing as much as they did last year. Both of those guys started all 17 games. They played a lot of snaps on that defensive line. They released them, and John Lynch said that that's basically the finances clearing that up for the future. And of course, the future that he's talking about is coming to grips with a hefty payout that Brock Purdy is going to get. He's going to become the highest paid player on the 49ers far and away. But when asked specifically about Floyd and Collins, this is what Lynch said. He said, the bottom line is you're always looking at years out. They always have a 3 year plan, by the way. Prag Marate, who's in charge of the salary cap, always puts together a 3 year plan where the 49ers have an idea of where they're going. They plan things out in in those terms. And what Lynch continued to say is, and we forecast it, and we've got some big things coming our way. That's when he talked about the big things. And you have to clear the requisite room to be able to do that. And you don't want to get to a point where you have to do things to keep your roster afloat. You want to have that flexibility. So yeah, when we're talking about, all the dead money that is right now on their cap, almost 80 million, and that's money, bonus money already paid to players who are no longer on the team. Debo Samuel, big chunk of that, Javon Hargrave, a big chunk of that, and some others. But that's money that's already been paid, and at some point it has to count against the salary cap. And so the idea basically, bite the bullet now, take on all those financial liabilities now so that it clears cap room for the future. And so that's that's the plan. Doesn't mean it's the right plan, or it certainly doesn't make a lot of fans happy. I think a lot of fans understand the finances of it and how you just can't continue to spend 85 million over the cap on an annual basis. One thing that Lynch did say was he felt like, their roster was really good last season, and it was. They're coming off a Super Bowl. Um, and that they wanted to kind of push all their chips to the middle of the table and make one big run at it. And so they kept the roster intact by and large. The only guy that they didn't bring back from the Super Bowl team was Eric Armstead, but they wanted to just make a big time run. And now when you see the injuries that occurred last year, 49ers go 6-11, finish last in the NFC West, and now it's time to pull back. And like I said, this is a big draft. Every draft is a big draft, but this one in particular, when you look at the roster changeover and trying to replenish the roster and trying to get new players in that will make an impact immediately, a lot of teams will use this time, the free agency period, and you look around the league of all the guys changing teams. The 49ers did sign some players, but they're more second tier. They're more special teams guys. They're really counting on hitting it out of the park in this draft. So those are the big things. The retaining on big contracts for Brock Purdy, George Kittle, conceivably Fred Warner, but also bringing in the guys from the draft. And on my latest mock draft, 4.0, I have them taken Jalen Walker from Georgia, a stack linebacker on base downs who can move outside and rush the passer opposite of Bosa. So that's the latest. John Lynch's first public comments since free agency began. 49ers lose a lot of guys in free agency, and he said that it was a tough pill to swallow seeing a lot of those guys leave, but made his first comments at that Stanford Pro Day to Cam Inman and Matt Barrows. All right, thanks for watching this video. Leave a comment and a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and that is it for now.